2 is a perfectly acceptable answer. Sometimes I highlight more of an answer in a different color, and that's where you could have gone further if you remembered everything you knew about math up till now. Yeah? Now, I can't remember if we did these two as notes on page 43. I don't remember. Or if this was the first thing I asked you to do. But there they are. It was all on 44? Well, there they are if you didn't. Now, please notice, ladies and gentlemen, I am doing no work in my head, right? I'm actually writing it all out. When I do this, like when I make your key for a test, do you think I write square root of 4, square root of 9? Of course not. I just write 4 or 2 and 3, right? When I do square root of 2 times square root of 2, I actually do that in my head and I write it as 2. I don't write it as square root of 4. But because this is teaching, I show all the steps. Everybody with me? That by no means forces you to show me every single one of these steps. You could go straight from here to there, as long as you remembered that you were supposed to use the conjugate. Everybody cool? Do as much work as you need to get the right answer. Yeah? I have the maximum amount of work possible because I'm using it from a teaching perspective. Now down here, sometimes we don't like to write a negative at the front. So down here, you might see this written as 3 root 3 minus 3 root 2. It's the exact same. Everybody cool? Apparently, I wasn't as clear as I could have been, and these should have been done. But that's no big deal. Here is page 44. There is the first 4. This one should have been highlighted in blue, but I realized that I did the whole question in blue. When I highlighted it in blue, you couldn't read it anymore. So I had to highlight it in yellow. But this should have been blue. Everything in blue is where I expect most of you to have gotten to. This yellow one here is this finished. For grade 11, I got no problem if you're going to leave it like that. But next year, if you're taking pre-calc 12 or in the future, you're going to want to simplify as much as possible, and you should go to the yellow one.
So if during a test we have it like how it's there,
I would let it go. I cannot guarantee any other teacher would. Many other teachers would say they would want it simplified all the way through. If you don't know how to get from the blue to the yellow, now would be the time to ask, and I will show you. All right. So what this is we start with, when we get to here, this is really 2 root 6 over 4 plus 4 over 4. That simplifies to 1/2 root 6. We don't write the 1. Plus 1. So that's where we get to that final answer. The mistake a lot of you make is you forget that this 4 applies to both of them equally. Everybody cool? Anybody want to ask about any of these? Please notice again, I am doing all of the work. Then I am simplifying. Then I am collecting like terms. Then I am simplifying again if I can. 22, 60, and 62 are all even numbers, so I divided them by 2. Any questions from the beginning of page 44? Please do not try to copy it all down right now. If you didn't do it, it's on YouTube. Noah. B? This one? Yep. Okay. This one, I did a step for you people that I wouldn't normally do. So I simplified here, just in case it became a single. Remember that one we did in the notes where we thought we had to rationalize? Right here, but when we simplified, we didn't. Remember that? Okay. So in this case, this, I know when I look at that it is not going to become a single thing. Okay? I know that. So because I knew it was not going to become a single thing, I'm willing to go straight to here. But that means multiplying by bigger numbers up here. So I still simplified. So what I did was I started by simplifying these, because that is 25 times 2, and that is 25 times 3, right? So this became 5 root 2, negative out in front, and this became 5 root 3 with a positive out in front, right? Now, I changed the order so I wouldn't have that negative in front, because you guys get scared of negatives. But this is a negative 5 root 2 and a positive 5 root 3. This is a positive 5 root 3 and a negative 5 root 2. It's the same thing, right? And then I had to do my rationalizing the denominator, remembering that I have to use the conjugate, right? And then it just becomes working through it. So I'll color code. That's the first one. 10 root 6. That's the second one. Plus 10 root 4. That's the third one. Minus 20 root 9. And that's the fourth one. Minus 8 root 6. That's grade 9 or grade 10 stuff, right? We're using radicals, but we learned to multiply radicals in the 10th grade. And we're doing FOIL, which we learned in the 10th grade. Over, and you know down here is going to be 25 root 9 minus 25 root 4. Because you know the middle term's going to drop out, right? And then we just simplify. I see 10 root 6 minus 8 root 6. So that's, I like this green, 2 root 6. And I see this, what's the root of 4? So 10 times 2 is 20. What's the root of 3, or 9? 3. 20 times 3 is 60. So I got 20 minus 60, which is negative 40, over 25 times 3 is 75, minus 50 is 25. Yo. Where? Did I screw up one of these while I was talking? 9, negative 20. Oh, yeah. Why did I write 8? Oh, because I did 4 times 2. Yeah. Negative 20 root 6. So it's 10 minus 20. So it's negative 10 root 6. And then, yes, George?
Over on the visual side, we did minus 50 plus 75. Shouldn't the conjugate be minus 50 minus 75?
It does, no, you'll get the same answer. Because this negative root 50 plus root 75 is the exact same thing as root 75 minus root 50. So I changed the order because the negative at the front messes most of you guys up. So by changing that order, I'm going to get the same value. Well, then the conjugate of this would be root 75 plus root 50, which is what I used. You don't have to. Pardon me? Yes, of course you had minus 25. But I have a negative up top here, which would have been the same negative as would be down here. If you did your way, then this wouldn't be negative. It's the same answer. Negative 6 over 5 is the same as 6 over negative 5, which is the same as negative 6/5. They're all the same thing. So where that negative is doesn't matter. I don't like the negative at the front here because then it makes that conjugate a pain. But when I change the order, it makes the conjugate easy. And then, of course, 10, 40, and 25, what do you know? They all divide by 5. So I simplified to Negative 2 root 6 minus 8 over 5. Okay? There is nothing in these questions that you all don't already know. But it's not like grade 10, right? In grade 9 and 10, you answered one question with one concept. In grade 11, look at how much stuff I got to do. And this isn't even a real question, is it? This isn't solving anything. This is just moving stuff around. Eventually, we'll be using all these concepts to actually give us an answer. Everybody good? Okay. And there's the last two. Everybody okay with them? This right here often causes trouble. Because it's 1 x root 10 plus 1 more x root 10, so I needed 2 x root 10s. Everybody cool? It's the same concept as this. 2x plus 3x gets me 5x, right? Or x plus x gets me 2 x's. Everybody good? Once, twice, thrice? Spectacular! This was all just FOIL practice. Again, no need to try and write them all down if you have them blank. You can check on YouTube. But it's just FOIL. If you find yourself getting these consistently wrong, then you've got to, I don't care how bad it makes you feel about yourself, you've got to start doing this. Write the arrow, write the answer. 8, 7 root 2, 8 root 14. Draw the arrow, write the answer. Negative 24 root 7. Go piece by piece. Can I do C? Yep. Oh yeah, good question. Yeah, C is a bit of a bear. So I do it in my head, right? So let's go piece by piece. What's 1 times 2? Easy, 2. 1 times 7 root 5x, 7 root 5x. Everyone's cool to there, right? Easy peasy. Now, this one's trouble. Negative 10 times 2. Oh, okay, negative 20. If this was anything else, it's easy, right? You're scared of this because it's 8x cubed. But there's no need to be scared of it, is there? So what's going under here? 8x cubed. Everybody cool? And then the last one, which I'll do in green, is negative 10. Now, if this was 5 and 8, what would be under here? If it was just 5 and 8, what would I write there? 40. And if it was just x cubed and x, what would I write there? What is x cubed times x? X to the 4th. So that's what I do. Oh, I didn't see the 7 there. Okay. Again, that's not the issue here, right? Everybody can multiply 10 times 7. I'm more concerned about that under there. Now, what would I do? Jorah. Oh. So you... Okay. My fault. So you let me do all that? Okay. Does anybody need me to finish E? Okay. I'm going to finish E, then I'll come back to C. So now, of course, I would simplify anywhere I can, yes? 2 doesn't get any easier. 7 root 5x doesn't get any easier. But 8 gets easier. That's 4 times 2 and x squared and x, right? So out comes the square root of 4, which is 2. So that becomes negative 40. Out comes an x squared, which is x, And what did I leave under there? The 2 and an x. Everybody cool? Minus 40 is 4 times 10, yeah? Out comes the square root of 4, so that becomes 140. And x to the 4th, out comes 2 x's, and I left 10 under there. And then I'm done. C, Jorit, is, since it is squared, I rewrite it because I write it out. And then it's just FOIL. 6 times 6, 36, cube root, 2 times 2, 4. Then I do the next one. 6 times 4 is negative 24. Now, can I multiply cube roots and square roots? No. So just like I can't do 2x times 3y, what's the answer? What's the answer to this? 6xy, because I can't do anything with x and y, can I? So you know that when they're not like terms, you multiply the coefficients and you leave the arguments. So 6 times 4 is negative 24, cube root 2, root 13. Then I do it again. Negative 24, cube root 2, root 13. Plus 4 times 4 is 16. Root 13 is root 169, which then you would simplify, and then you would just add up where you can. There is no cube root of 4, so it's 36 cube root 4, minus 48 cube root 2, root 13, plus 16 times 13 is 160, and 48 is 208. And then I'd be done. Now again, ladies and gentlemen, I did not expressly show you this. Why? Why would I not have shown you that? Yep. Why would I not show you that? I'm hurt. I would not show you that because you, I'm sorry, Avneet? Because you already know it. You already know that 3x times 2y is 6xy. And you already know that 3 root 7 times 2 root 8 is 6 root 56. Because those are like terms. When they're not like terms, you can't do it. You have to apply the principles you already know. Because how would I have time to teach you grade 5 to 10 again and then teach you grade 11? Right? I have to trust that you are bringing something to the party. Okay? It's impossible to show you an example of every single question. Justin.
How come in D you have a 30 in front of the square root of 2c squared?
Because 15... Oh, yeah, it shouldn't be. It should be 15 2c squared, and then out comes a c. Thank you. And this is all rationalizing the denominator. A, B, C, D. I imagine people had some trouble with D because it's a cube root. You want to see D? Okay. Now I did give you an example of this. This is 20 cube root 6t over cube root of 5, right? We've already talked about that. What don't we like there? We don't like cube root 5 in the denominator, right? Now we know we got to get rid of that. So we know we got to multiply by cube root something, yes? But if I do cube root of 5 times cube root of 5, I get the cubed root of 25, don't I? Does 25 have a cube root? No, so it didn't get rid of the radical. But if I do by 5 squared, then I get the cubed root of 5 times 5 squared, which is 5 cubed. Everybody understand? Once again, if you memorize steps, you're screwed, because then you would do, you multiply by what's under there. If you memorize what we're doing, which I make a big deal about explaining why, we are rationalizing the denominator, which means we have to get rid of the radical sign. And the only way to get rid of a cube root is to have something cubed underneath. Everybody with me? Again, it's not something I showed you because I wanted to see if you could figure it out. That's why it's here with no marks attached to it. Everybody get it? All right. So, of course, then this up here is 20 cube root. 5 squared is 25. 25 times 6 is 150 t. Over the cube root of 5 cubed, which is 5. 20 cube root 150t over 5. And then, of course, 150 doesn't have a cube root because it's 2 times 3 times 5 times 5. But 20 and 5 simplify to 4 cube root 150t. Yeah? Excellent. Anything else from there? This one, G, is crazy hard to get to the yellow. I bet most people didn't bother. And F, you will notice I left the negative out in front and just worked with this. And then at the end, I ended up with a negative out in front, and 5 minus 8 is also negative. Negative, negative makes a positive. Please be aware that all the math that you're doing is pretty easy. But doing 75 times of steps is where the difficulty lies, right? It's not each step is difficult math. It's keeping them all in line. It's complex, but not difficult. Everybody understand what I mean? Because it all comes back down to, can I simplify a radical, and do I know how to multiply? Any questions there? Okay. And the last page. Most of you were probably, actually a lot of people didn't even do this page. This one, we're moving into polynomials, which means we will be making sure by the end of our next unit, this answer is unacceptable. You'll need to be able to get to there because I will have reminded you of how to factor. We all good? Okay. Quiz tomorrow after you do course planning. Okay? Come here first. 1 second. So you people right now are going to start working on the review, which I don't think you got this cool font. I think it's a line of dots.
It's our what is it? Morse code.
Yeah, it's the Morse code font. I love that font. It's called Chocolate Dealer. I don't know why. It makes no sense why it would be called Chocolate Dealer.
It looks a little bit like the font that they use on the
Maybe. Maybe. So you do 47, 48, and that's it. Tomorrow we'll mark 47 and 48, and we'll do a 1-page review of everything you need to study for your test. Yes, of course it is. It's the review. Yep. Everybody good? You're going to have some time to work on it tomorrow. If you finish your quiz quickly or finish your course planning quickly, you'll have a bit of time tomorrow if you want. But do not think you're going to have enough time tomorrow to do this whole sheet because you have 26 minutes right now you could be working on it. Okay? Okay.